So man, your guys' journey into parenthood and family expansion has not been what I might call a normal journey. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, we got married pretty young. I was 23 and she was 19. And about 4 years in, we decided to try to have kids. And we tried for 8 years. And through a lot of heartache and sad Mother's Days and a lot of tears and praying and wishing, we were not able to have kids. 3 years ago, we were introduced into God Can, and I felt God telling us to write down, start a family. Let's pray for a baby. We've always prayed for a baby, and so we wrote that in on the paper and threw it into the God Can, and we waited. I think it was about a year after the first God Can. Felt God was saying to me, let's live beyond yourself. Like, let's not just live for you and your wife, live for something more. And so God impressed on our hearts to head down the path of foster care, foster to adopt.
So what was the journey like into foster care? Was it as easy as you thought?
No,
not at all. So there was in December of 2018, we got a phone call for a 6-day-old baby. And
we had already in November put our application in, submitted our home study for a sibling group of 3. And the way it works in foster care is like you submit for a whole bunch of different kids, and then you're maybe selected for one to see if you're a good match, and then you might not even get chosen. So it's like a long process. And so we had already put that out there back in November. And so when we got this phone call, that was going through my mind too, of like, well, what if we're chosen, and then what? Like, then we have 4 kids and we only wanted to start with 1. And so
yeah, so I was there at work with my watch, and I go, okay, let's do it. And she was expecting me to say no.
I was hoping you'd say no.
Yeah, she was hoping I'd say no. And so I went.
Because they said they'll be at our house in 2 hours.
Yeah, they said they'll be at our house in 2 hours. Yeah. So I showed up at home that evening at 6 p.m. a dad.
We were specifically told, like, you won't get a baby for your first placement, and you definitely won't be able to adopt an infant. Like, that just doesn't happen in Hood County. And so so to have that be our first call was just like, and he was 6 days old. It was just a picture of God's grace. And so then 2 months later, we got the phone call saying, hey, back in November, you guys submitted your application, and we want to interview you. We think you'd be great for this sibling group. And we were just like, what? Like, we have this infant, we don't know what we're doing. And so they interviewed us with 3 other couples, and they selected us.
You go from none to 1, 4. I know you have another one in the family. Tell me about that.
I just wasn't feeling real good. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of dollars I've spent on pregnancy tests. Like, none of them, not one ever, was positive. We didn't have in 10 years 1 positive test, and so many opportunities where we thought we were because of some health conditions I had and stuff. And so finally I just was like, fine, I'll do it. And it was just 1 test, and it was positive. Really, ultimately, all of our pain and suffering that we've walked through in our marriage and our life and our story, we were just 2 broken people that in God's hands were instruments of love to love 4 broken children. Yeah.